So chances are, sometime in the shop, you would have to divide your project into 2 or cut it into 3 even pieces or 4 even pieces. Essentially what you're doing is you're cutting a piece into halves, thirds, or quarters. So this video was to show you how I would figure out half of something, or a third of something, or a quarter of something. So here we have our very first problem. What is half of 7/8 of an inch? So we're going to start by writing the two fractions down. Half is 1/2, 7/8, 7/8. Anytime you see the word of, that's essentially multiply. And so at this point, we would multiply 2 by 8, and we'd multiply 1 by 7. So 1 times 7 is 7, 2 times 8 is 16. So half of 7/8 is 7/16. All right, so here's our next problem. We need to find a quarter of 3 and 1/4. So we're going to start by writing our two fractions. So there's a quarter and 3 and 1/4. Now when we see the of, as I mentioned before, what that means is multiply the two numbers. Now unfortunately we can't just cross multiply, because this is a mixed fraction, because this is saying there are 3 whole pies that are cut into 4 slices. So 1, 2, 3. And 1 extra quarter, like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into an improper fraction. So I've got 1/4 of an inch times, we're still dealing with quarters because that's our bottom number, right? But we've got 3 whole pies, 1, 2, 3, that are in quarters. So 3 times 4 is 12. So that refers to this, this, and this. And there's 1/4 left. So that's plus 1. And that 1 refers to this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these two numbers together, right? Because we want to know how many quarters we have. So 12 plus 1 is 13. And at this point, we can go ahead and multiply. So we can go 1 times 13 and 4 times 4. 1 times 13 is 13. 4 times 4 is 16. And right over here is our answer. A quarter of 3 3/4 inches is 13/16 of an inch. So here's our last example. We need to find a third of 1½ inches. So as per usual, we're just going to go ahead and write our two fractions. 1/3 and 1½ We know that we see the of, so we know that again, that's a multiply. And again, just like our last example, we cannot cross multiply because this is a mixed fraction. So we need to go ahead and turn this into an improper fraction. So again, we're dealing with halves, so we're going to keep that number down on the bottom. And so our 1 refers to 1 whole pie. And there's an extra half for us over here. 1 whole pie has 2 halves. So that refers to this pie over here. And there's 1/2. So there's 1/2 over here, and that 1 refers to this half over here. I'm going to go ahead and add these two numbers up. So 2 plus 1 equals 3. And again, multiply the top number, multiply the bottom number. So 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. So a third of 1½ is 3/6. However, if you notice this, 3/6, both 3 and 6 can be divided by 3. So what we can do is we can take this fraction and we can make it simpler. So in order to do that, I can divide 3 by 3 and 6 divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And there is the answer. And there's our answer in its simplest form. 1/3 of 1 1/2 is a half.